friends. Welcome back to another night of 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. I'm your host, Gabe, from the Search for Tiki. And tonight we have a very special night. It is entirely themed to Don the Beachcomber. And we're going to be giving away one of these limited edition Don the Beachcomber mugs at the end of the live stream. This mug was made by John Mulder and the team of Ekum Bookum in Florida. And we're going to be giving that away. Our mug sponsors for the giveaways are Tiki Farm. Thank you to Tiki Farm. Thank you to Plantation Rum, who sponsors all of 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. And thank you to Don the Beachcomber. Tonight we got a very special episode. We're going to be talking to Marie King. Marie King, a lot of people in California know Marie from one of LA's oldest tiki bars, or the oldest tiki bar in LA. And now she is the beverage director for Don the Beachcomber. So we're super excited to talk to Marie about all the good things that are coming to Don the Beachcomber in the coming years ahead. It is returning to Florida, a triumphant return. And with that said, let's get Marie in here. Hey, Marie. So good to see you.
How's everyone?
Good. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm super excited to talk to you about all the exciting things coming.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very honored.
Don the Beachcomber.
Yes.
Before we talk about Don the Beachcomber, which I'm super excited to talk about, I do want to just kind of do like a, getting started section with Marie King, who you are and what your first exposure to tiki culture was.
Yeah, I'm just a gal who likes cocktails, I guess.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, right. Me and my water bottle over here. Sorry. I had my first tropical cocktail, and our first introduction to it all was through surf music. So my husband plays in Tiki-Yaki Orchestra. He's the bass player. And we would head down to San Diego and hang out with the, tiki files down there and go to the home bars. And we were at the home of Alan Nepper, and he made us a bowl cocktail. Welcome, passed out all the straws. I took a sip and I was like, oh, there's apricot in there. And he was like, you can tell that there's apricot in there? I was like, well, yeah, it's there. It was like, most people can't distinguish little things like that. So I'd always been a bartender. I'd been bartending since I was 21 and was in the hospitality since I was 16. So we're going on 30 plus years now.
Was he a member of Tiki-Yaki when you met?
No, Tiki-Yaki hadn't formed. This was all the way back in 2004. 2004, 2005, when we were going and getting to know. And he had been going to Trader Vic's since he was a little kid. So for our first Valentine's Day, he took me to Trader Vic's. Beverly Hills. It was really cute. I actually had I got a speeding ticket.
Oh, no.
And I was going to the Inglewood courthouse to pay my speeding ticket. There was an antique store right around the corner. And I found Tiki Bob salt and pepper shakers for $5.50. So I gave him the salt and pepper shakers for Valentine's Day. He took me to Trader Vic's. And it was my, we had those drinks at Al and Shelley Nepper's house, at Al Nepper's house. But at this point, I hadn't really gone to a tiki bar. So I had we had a tiki bowl to share. And then I ended up having a Peachtree Punch. And then I got kind of ill. We had to get the food to go. I don't even think we made it through dinner. Yeah. So that was we all remember our first tiki bar experience.
100%. And have you always been in California?
Yes. Well, I was born and raised in LA. I did get to travel a lot when I was younger. In my 20s, my first bartending job was actually in New Orleans at Checkpoint Charlie's, which is a super mega dive bar. But my friend and I bartended there together. We were so excited because we made our own first drink for ourselves, and it had Malibu rum in it. Malibu
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
Maine, and this was like 1982 in New Orleans. Yeah.
It sounds like a closet confession.
Full disclosure, you got to start from somewhere, right?
100%. 100%. Yeah, it's funny how once you get into cocktails, like you just kind of fall down this rabbit hole, and then you're like, oh no, I won't touch that stuff. Whereas before, you drink it all the time. But there's also like tangent, like that one liquor that someone had a bad experience with because you drank too much of it, and now it just like turned your stomach.
Yeah. Or
Why
more.
did you, in New Orleans? How did you end up in New Orleans? Just that was a cool place to be. So
It kind of was. It was 1992, 93. And I was just antsy. I was fidgety. I wanted to move. I wanted to travel. I'd met some people. I had a roommate in Long Beach, California that moved out there. I went to visit her and absolutely fell in love with it. It was right when Anne Rice's books were super popular and we were all 90s and goths and running around. It just fit. It absolutely fit. It probably took about 10 years off the other end of my life, but because I don't think I saw daylight at one point for 3 or 4 months. Maybe 9 o'clock in the morning as I was leaving the bar to go home to go to bed,
That's good memories, though.
It was a great way to spend my 20s.
Nowadays, we have the awesome Latitude 29 with Jeff
Exactly.
Beachcomber in New Orleans. Was there anything back there back then?
Well, there was always the classic bars, the Monteleon and all the hotels and the Commander's Palace and everything. It was all there, but I didn't have the inclination to go to these places because the classic cocktails weren't part of my thinking in my 20s. I remember I was going to bars when I was underage, of course, and the old timer bartenders, I'd be like, make me something that I want to learn from. Make me something that I've never had. So he would make me Sex on the Beach and a Screwdriver and a Greyhound. So I learned all of those silly classics really early on. But, Sazerac and Absinthe weren't part of my realm. And nor did we have the money at that time. Our rent for a house with 3 of us was less than $1,000 a month. I think I was paying $300 a month for rent. So,
oh my God,
not making and barely making even, barely making enough to pay that. So it wasn't until I came back and, your palate changes and you realize, oh, there's other vodkas than just the cheap one that they have in the well. And I started bartending in Long Beach, just learning about spirits. But we really got into these tropical cocktails together, my husband and I, from going to the home tiki bars, from having the grog log and Intoxica. I bartended at a place in Long Beach at the time, and I would bring in grog log and Intoxica, and once a month I would have a tiki night. So we would get the Smokin' Menahunis to play or some Bill Tapia. He was a 100-year-old ukulele player that played back at the Hawaiian Room in New York in the 30s and 20s and 30s and 40s. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I would make my own syrups and really kind of got into it there. And then we went next level when my husband started. So he and I met in photography school. Let me know if I'm rambling.
That's okay. This is interesting.
We met in photography school, and straight out of school, he contacted that Tiki magazine that was run by Nick Camara back in the mid-odds, and got in the first issue on that. And we did a column with Jeff Beachcomber on a cocktail. So John Paul and I got to go to Jeff's house and make the drink. And at that time, he was just starting to work on Sippin' Safari. So he hired John Paul to do the photography for Sippin' Safari. So he took Jeff's picture of him as a zombie. And it was there that I really got to the nuts and bolts of these cocktails, because we would make them for John Paul to shoot. And I was learning about ice and dilution and 1 of sour, 2 of sweet. And then afterwards we'd sit around and drink rum. So I got to try all these Demerara's from the 40s and 50s and modern rums and learn what Demerara was versus Jamaican rum. So that was my first introduction to that next level education, was with Jeff.
Was that information at the time, like the craft cocktail scene has blown up in recent years? Was that information readily available at the time, or was it just because you knew Jeff?
It was because I knew Jeff. I mean, really, for these cocktails, the only books that were out there were Sip and Safari. I mean, it was before Sip and Safari, I'm sorry. So it was Grog Log and Intoxica were the only books really out there, unless you dug deep and found, Trader Vic's vintage recipes, vintage cocktail books. And they were made for the man at home, and it's specifically called for his rums, So Jeff had been doing his personal research, and he had just file cabinets of menus that he would, all right, well, what's this Demerara? Well, we got to try it with Demerara rum and get to the bottom of what is good. And then in 2008, when they were planning the new Don The Beachcomber down in Huntington, I got hired to be the bar manager there and created that first menu. And I did the same thing. I got all the Demeraras I could that were on the market at the time, or Jamaicans or whatever.
Yep.
Fill in the blank, and pulled up the recipes and started making them with all of them. But then it was a different sort of idea that I had to go behind it, because it may be this agricole that costs $60 a bottle that it tasted best with, but I can't sell this drink with a bottle of rum that costs $60 because it would price people out, So it was a learning curve on doing both what was best for that price and then what was available on the market. And then lemon disappeared. I
think that's always a constant battle, particularly I'm on the East Coast, and in the East Coast, the tiki scene here is primarily like Chinese restaurants. Right. Asian American Chinese restaurants that happen to have tiki cocktails. And that's always the battle of, the Chinese restaurant that serves the tiki cocktails, it may not be as busy. So one of the ways that they can maybe cut costs is using the cheaper alcohols. But when you do that, people eventually catch on, that the booze isn't as good as it used to be. And then you lose even more traffic. So it's always that constant battle of finding that sweet spot.
Secret Tiki Temple over in Jacksonville. Is it Jacksonville?
I've heard of it. I have not been.
So they just redid their cocktail menu and brought in some great spirits. Like, they realized that they needed to use good booze in their drinks, but they take their tiki area to a whole nother level. That's definitely, if you're in the Florida area, that's a definite place to check out. It's great.
It's all about Florida in this episode. And we were talking about the Mai Kai in the last one. So
yeah,
Florida is heating up. The tiki scene is heating up.
It really is. It really is. I can't wait for the Mai Kai to reopen. Tom's been working his butt off down there.
I think everybody watching can't wait for the Mai Kai to open.
Did he give an estimate?
Was that?
Did he give an estimate?
Yeah, spring of 2024. But you know how that is. I mean, right. It's permitting and regulations. So.
Well, if we just get
I'm not going to hold him to that. What was that?
If I could just have the Molokai bar open, I'd be happy with that.
Right. He was talking about 2 phases. Maybe they should add the third, where they just open the Molokai bar and then they do the rest.
Right. I agree.
Get some money coming in.
Yep.
But going back to California for a minute, Tonga Hut. Tonga Hut, I believe, is LA's oldest tiki bar. It has Tiki Tea beat by 3 or 4 years.
3 years. 58 versus 61. Yeah.
Here's a picture of Tonga Hut. You are infamous in California as being the beverage director at Tonga Hut. And I'm excited to finally talk to you. I haven't had this opportunity, but we have a similar circle of friends in California. So I keep hearing about the legendary Marie King of Tonga Hut, so I'm excited to get to talk to you about it. But what was the state of Tonga Hut when you joined?
So I was Don The Beachcomber till 2010. Had a car accident, couldn't work for a couple of years. And right about that time, there was some new ownership, a new partner. So in 2005, Jeremy Fleener bought the bar, and he was the third person to own it.
Okay.
It was two brothers, Ace and Edwin Libby, that built it from the ground up. Or it's a strip mall. I mean, that window where the Kirby piece is and the Big Mo is, that was all glass. It's actually, the glass is still there. They just closed it in on the front and on the outside and on the inside. But it was meant to be a storefront. But they worked at a place called the Samoa House, and they decided they wanted to open their own place. Figured they'd never make it to Tonga, so they called it the Tonga Hut. Anyways, it had gone through the de-evolution of tiki, as Fen would say, and it was a classic dive bar when I came in. Well, or I should say it was kind of a biker haven in 2005 when Jeremy bought it. He'd cleaned it up and tried with the local tiki community to bring it into the tiki fold and bring in a cocktail program, but he didn't have the bartenders that would follow the program. So in 2012, February 14th, I was hired. February 12th, 2012, because it was 12/12. They brought me in to kind of help solidify the menu, train the staff, and make sure that everybody was making the drinks the same. Because that's what I had done at Don The Beachcomber.
Yep.
I created a formula there to make sure that there was consistency. So that's what we did. And then we just built a kind of a clique with the tiki community, and we had Sunday nights where Tonga Tom was the DJ, and once a month I would have bands, and we would do quarterly events and release mugs, some limited series mugs, and then a bigger, larger series of mugs like the rum barrel through Tiki Farm. And yeah, we built it and made sure that we had quality drinks and quality atmosphere for people to want to come back.
Was there a lot of like outreach that had to happen to like, hey, come back, or was it just let's fix these things and hope that the crew follows in?
First we had to fix it. And then I was able, once we had it fixed and I had a good staff, then I could start going to events, and people would put a face to the bar and taste these drinks that we were making at the events and see the quality. And then, then it became a destination. People started visiting and they would come. Viva Las Vegas would be happening. People would fly into LA. They would drive up, visit. We also had a leg up because we were open 7 days a week. If the tea was closed Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, they could come and visit us if it was an off day. And now, LA is straight up a destination to come for cocktails of the
yes,
top.
it is. Yep. I think you can make the argument. I would probably say San Francisco is number one, and then number two, close behind and growing, is Los Angeles.
Yeah, because you could go all the way from Anaheim to Strongwater. If you're a Disney person, you could do that for a weekend. And even San Diego, you can do a whole West Coast tour and drive from San Francisco to San Diego easy.
How important was the tiki mug into getting the buy-in of the tiki community? I'm a tiki nerd.
Yeah.
So like, how did the tiki mugs fit into the overall business model?
Yeah. Anytime you have merchandise that you're selling, it's kind of added funds, added revenue that always helps, So from a business standpoint, it's a no-brainer. But then to do the little things like the matchbooks and the swizzle sticks and all that other ephemera that, people maybe they couldn't afford. And then there's also two levels of mugs. You want to have that affordable mug, that $40, what used to be a $20 mug, that you bought with a cocktail is now a $40 mug that you buy with a cocktail.
Correct.
To the limited edition $100, $200, $300 mugs. You want to have something at every level, because and even the plastic cups that we have for water now are super great advertising. I mean, they cost, I'm sorry, not us, Tonga Hut. The cost of those is 45 cents each, 50 cents each. We obviously wash them and reuse them. They're not disposable plastic cups. But if you want to take it home, every time you reach into your cupboard, you're going to see it, or a Mai Tai glass or a zombie glass, and be reminded of your trip. Or if you're local, be reminded you need to come visit again. This mug was a big, big, big hit when we came out with it. And
Line out the door.
Yeah.
Let's do like a mug release.
Yeah, because it's so unusual too. It was two pieces, and it's can't really tell in this picture, but it's the fireplace that we have in the corner of the Tonga Hut.
Yep.
But the top comes off, and in the smokestack you could drop dry ice, so it actually made smoke like a fireplace would.
Oh boy, we're trusting people with dry ice.
Right? There it is. I always hoped we'd do more of those, but Mulder said that the sculpt was too difficult, so we never made any more.
Yeah, the mug making process is there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens behind the scenes. It's kind of a pain in the butt. We do it because we love it, but it's so much easier to make glassware than it is to create a custom.
For sure.
Over history, I'm kind of curious. There's been very well documented history of theft in tiki bars, particularly of tiki mugs and whatnot. Do you think that history of theft is overstated, or do you think it's accurate?
The history of mugs?
Well, the theft of mugs, right?
Oh.
Like people going to the bar, and that's one of the concerns, right? You make these cool mugs, and then you give them to people to serve them these cool cocktails, and then the mug disappears.
Absolutely. Funny story. My husband and I, especially when we were first in the scene, it was a ritual. Every Sunday morning we went to a swap meet. I mean, without fail, we went to these swap meets. And there was a bowl on one of the shelves. Like right when we got there, we pulled it out and, we're shaking, like flip it over, and it's from the Tonga room, and it's the three wahinis that are painted on the large format bowl. And the woman that was running the booth, she must have been in her 50s, and she was taking care of this elderly woman who had just passed away, and that was from her house. She was like, oh yeah, Mildred told me about when she went there, and she was glad she brought her big purse, because she brought this home in her big purse. So like that mug right there in the 50s when this woman went was stolen. But if she hadn't stolen it, we wouldn't have it in our collection today. So there's that. Nowadays, what we're going to do is usually what people do is you have to commit to buying the mug. If you commit to buying the mug, then we'll serve it to you in the mug. If you don't commit to buying the mug, which you can always change your mind later, either way. But that's just the only way that we're going to be able to keep track of them. If you commit to buying a mug, we'll give you a drink in it. But
yeah, I like that strategy. Give people the option.
Right. It's also, I saw a menu from, I think it was Inside Passage, that said, if you steal any glassware, we are going to charge you double for it.
I like that.
Yeah. So
there you go.
Clearly on the menu, if you steal the glassware, you will be charged double for it, because it's all for sale. So if you look at the first page, all the prices are there. It's the first thing that they're offering you is you could buy this menu for $20. If you steal it, we're going to charge you 40.
That's one way to do it. You've got to have the bartenders, cognizant of what's going on.
But it's at our places, it's going to have, 100 to 300 seating. It's not just for the bartenders to keep track of,
Oh yeah, no, all the wait staff.
All the wait staff, the bussers, the servers. There's too much. There's too much to keep track of.
Yeah. All right. Changing gears a little bit, you had mentioned the grog log, and the grog log you mentioned, I believe, was Beach Bum Berry's grog log.
Correct.
But there's also the grog log of Tonga Hut.
No, It's
No?
the same.
Let's go.
We do Beach Bum Berries grog log.
Okay, so it is Beach Bum Berries grog log.
Yes.
And it's like would you call it like a membership program? How would you
Some
describe
people call it a challenge.
Okay.
We give you 12 months. So I should keep saying we. 12 years, it's hard to drop that habit. At Tonga Hut, when I was there, it was a 12-month thing. So from the day you start, you have 12 months to have all 78 drinks in Jeff Beach Bum Berries grog log. Some of them, and this was my spiel. Some of them you'll like, some of them you won't like, but think of it as cocktail archaeology. You're going to learn the flavors that you like. You're going to learn why you don't like certain flavors because you've got to drink them all.
Is it like they have to drink them, or they can like order them, sip it? I'm not into this.
Some people get really adamant that you have to drink at least half of it, or some bartenders, if you're sitting at the bar and you really don't like it, they'll throw some passion fruit in there or whatever, because passion fruit makes everything better. I didn't care. Listen, you're buying it. I don't care if you drink it or not.
All that matters, right?
You know, you really paid for
the
it.
bar.
You paid for it. We did make, if you are celiac or you had an allergy or something like that, of course we made exceptions.
Yeah.
We would always accommodate that. We had 2 people do the grog log twice. The first guy that did it twice, it was the first year that I worked there, and his girlfriend started doing the grog log, so they did it together. And one of the perks is when you finish the grog log, you get a $1 off all your cocktails. You get a little pendant that says $1 off. So this was before I was manager. He got $2 off his drinks. He was the only one that got that.
After that, we're like, we're not doing this again.
Yeah, we're not doing the $2 again. You get the $1, but not the $2.
Eventually, you get free cocktails. You just got to do the grog log, 15 times.
Right. Well, then they made it also only premium cocktails. So they were only like the $8, $9, or $10 cocktails or above. Because we had $2 happy hour PBRs. He was like, "Do I get my PBRs for free?" He was like, "No, you don't. I'm sorry."
There's always one in every bunch.
And then a second dear friend of mine didn't like making decisions. So he did it a second time, but every bartender he asked to either elevate it or customize all the drinks. So for instance, the Noa Noa, it calls for 3 ounces of a Demerara 86 rum that we use Eldorado 8. At the time we had Eldorado 8 in the well because I don't think Hamilton was coming out with this 86 yet. Anyways, we upgraded it to Eldorado 12, things like that. Or the Missionary's Downfall, we kind of changed it up. Every bartender could play with the recipes and kind of give it that structure, but then elevate it. And then eventually we started, finally, after the pandemic, during that downtime, I was able to make the chit sheets and figure out all the extra things that we would have to buy and make to do Intoxica, which is Jeff Barry's second book. So if you had finished your grog log, you could then work on Intoxica. So we had double bastards, or what I called intoxicated bastards. You became a member of the Loyal Order of the Drooling Bastard, and the Drooling Bastard, there it is. So the Loyal Order of the Drooling Bastard, that's the Drooling Bastard. He's our little fountain in the corner that had been drooling since 1958. Poor bastard. Right? And now if you finish Intoxica, you're an intoxicated bastard, and you got a one-off custom Drooling Bastard mug made in gold color. What's the word I'm looking for?
This is one of my favorite things of going there, because you can go and you can see all the names and the plaques, and everybody does these really cool styles ones.
Yeah.
So you can see right here. Everybody's got their little, theme. There's so much work that goes into that.
There's the 4 right here. These 4 people all finished together, so they made like one 4 plaques that fit together. I dig that.
Love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then some of them over here are glow in the dark, but you know. Oh, and then this guy.
I've heard legends of King Kong. Is there a
Yes.
story there?
So actually, this plaque was made by his uncle, who you had on the other day, Tommy. This is Jonathan Conger. He came in and he did do it in 11 days. The
It's
story
supposed
is
to be a year.
you
But he
get
did it
12
in 11
months.
days.
You'd get 12 months. And at 12 months, it's 6.5 a month. 6.5 cocktails a month to finish all 78 drinks in a year in 12 months. But he did it in 11 days. He would have done it in 9, but he puked 2 times going home in the Uber. So, but
The boy had setbacks.
He would come in when we opened. He would leave when we closed. And some of the drinks only are 1 or 2 ounces. The Bulu, the Groglog zombie, which is different than a typical 34 zombie. There's not that many that have more than 2 ounces in them. So, but you know, it takes a couple years off your liver. And I know a lot of people who put on 20 or 30 pounds doing it too.
Oh, really?
All that sugar.
Is it worth it? I don't know.
Is it worth to get a buck off your drinks? And that's the thing too, as a business person, you get $1 off your drinks, but I only see 1/3 of you ever again. You know?
Really?
Some people
don't take advantage of the
they just move on. Some people do it and become family. But that's the thing, they do become family.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Is there changing gears a little bit? Is there going to be some form of grog walk coming to Don the Beachcomber?
Yes and no. I would like to see kind of a passport if you go, because we're going to have multiple locations. So it depends. Like if some location is very regular forward, if we have a lot of locals, like Madeira Beach is going to be probably mostly tourists because it is a beach city. If it's more in a bedroom community that we have a lot of locals, we could think about it, but we're doing a lot of different sort of versions of Don the Beachcomber. This one by the beach is going to be more open, more restaurant forward. Obviously, they're all going to have great cocktails if I have anything to do with it.
I mean, if there's one thing we can be confident about,
Thank you.
that they're going to have good cocktails with Marie King.
Thank you. But you know, I won't have 40 drinks on this menu. I think I came up with 23. But then when we open, we have another kind of secret location that we're opening that's probably going to have 40 or 50 drinks on the menu. And that'll be our second one.
That's intriguing. The plot thickens. What is that? So the first one.
But going back to that first question, what I hope to do is hope to have like a passport so that each location will have its own stamp. So you could fill your passport. So when you go to multiple locations.
Okay.
If there's one in each state and you get to one in each state, maybe we'll figure out something to give you. We'll give you stock or
some
something.
kind of incentive. Stock. On the Beachcomber.
Sure.
Sure, I'll do it. I'll get my passport. I'm going to do it when you open the first location, so it's really easy.
Yeah, right?
Boop. All right, where's my stock? I think the first one is opening, is it Madeira Beach?
Yes, Madeira Beach, which is right next to between St. Petersburg and Clearwater.
Okay.
It's scheduled to open in November.
That's fast.
I know, really fast.
That's coming in hot.
Really, really fast. As I'm pulling my hair out. No. I'm really solid with the cocktails, and I've formulated a menu. I'm working on some rums to bring in for a flight. And food food we've been working on. We've been doing a lot of taste testings. We've got the poo-poo platter down, homemade crab rangoon. We've got that recipe down. We're still working on the stir-fried rice and some desserts. Tiki Diablo is in there they finished a lot of carving.
Yes, I'm excited.
You sent pictures of some of the carvings too.
I think we do. Let's see if we can pull up some of the carvings from Danny Gallardo. He's there now, carving like a madman, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they did the carvings. Now they've got to get it in place. So there's
Okay. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend.
There it is. So he did a bunch of these Marquesan style carvings that are going to go inside. I think there's 19 of these posts. They're taking these slats that are on the ground here. They're carving those and they're finishing them. Actually, Basement Kahuna, Dave Wolf is working on the project as well from Athens, I think, Georgia. And he's kind of putting an oxidized coloring on them, and they're going to cover the pillars here. So there'll be no bare walls. There's another one of Danny's carvings. So yeah, there's about, I think he said 19 of these. And then those are the ones that are going inside. Then we have an outdoor area as well, where we have another 20 or 25 posts that they carved that are going to hold up a outdoor palapa.
Okay.
So these
going back a second. So Don the Beachcomber. First of all, I guess for the 101 for the people watching that aren't familiar with Don the Beachcomber, who is Don the Beachcomber?
Yeah. Sorry, making assumptions here. Oh, this is really cool. Oh, we'll go back to that.
We'll go back.
So Don Beach is the godfather of pretty much everything that we are here talking about. He's the first guy to create this template of rum-forward, exotic, tropical style cocktails that he called rum rhapsodies, with exotic, at the time in the 30s, food, which was Chinese food. I believe he was the first guy to import water chestnuts into the United States.
That's a strange fact.
They're integral in the rumaki, which was one of his appetizers that he invented, or his culinary team invented, as we would call it today, which was chicken livers with a water chestnut wrapped in bacon. And they're absolutely delicious. Don't let the chicken livers scare you off. You soak them in milk and it's just this, it takes the gaminess out of it. They're so amazing. Anyways, he did that. He did the multi-rum layered tropical style cocktails that he took the classic Caribbean 1 of sour, 2 of sweet, 3 of strong, 4 of weak, and turned it on its head. So he changed up what was the typical sour, which at the time was lime. He included things like grapefruit and lemon. He took the sweet, which was at the time sugar. I mean, you think about a daiquiri, right? Lime, sugar, rum. 4 of weak being the ice, because there's always a 4th ingredient. Even though you think, oh, it's a 3-ingredient drink. Well, there's actually a 4th ingredient, and it's ice. So he would take the sweet and make it passion fruit or honey or any assortment of syrups that he started creating or making up, or fashionola or something like that. He also revolutionized how we treated the ice. He was the first guy to take that soda fountain spindle blender and bring it into a bar. Because I'm in the cocktail business, I think of the cocktails first. He also brought in this Chinese cuisine, made it part of the lexicon, but most importantly, he was the one who brought in the flotsam and jetsam, that sort of South Pacific flair with the foliage and these fishing float lamps.
Yep.
And covering all the walls and the hala and stuff, things that he gathered when he had a stint in Hollywood at the time. We had a lot of these South Pacific sort of movies, and he, they were tossing the stuff. So he brought it in and filled in his restaurant, and there's the man. So
there's the man. Is it fair to call him a showman?
Absolutely. That is exactly what he was. I mean, did he invent 78 drinks? He probably had a say in it, but did he actually do it, or did his barman do it? Um,
I think that's one of the interesting things, at least to me, with Don the Beachcomber, is there are a lot of things that are taken as facts that may or may not have been facts. They may, they may be true. They may not be true.
well, I think
Might
Swanky's book,
spin some legends.
yeah, Swanky's book is going to clear up a lot of this stuff. So Tim Glasner, aka Swanky, he wrote a book on the history of the Maikai, and he was gifted by Don's last wife, Phoebe Beach, his personal archives. And he's been writing a biography on Donn. He's also producer in the movie The Dawn of Tiki, Donn, that Alex Lamb and oh my gosh, please forgive me, Maxwell. Maxwell and Alex Lamb are the two guys that are producing the Dawn of Tiki film.
Which they just showed a preview of at Tiki in Waikiki.
Yes.
Everybody's talking about it. I'm super excited.
Yep. And then a little known fact, there's a woman that's been helping Sonny, Son's daughter, who was Don's first wife, or I think his first wife. They're coming out with a book, hopefully the end of this year, the beginning of next, which is going to shed a lot of light on her history. Because in my opinion, we would not know the name Don the Beachcomber if it wasn't for her. She was the businesswoman. She was the one that started expanding the restaurants. She's certainly villainized because she was a woman with a lot of ambition, and she had to dance backwards in heels and do it better than any of the men. I'm really, really interested in seeing what facts are going to be revealed in this book as well, written by her daughter.
I think the thing is, so this is Sonny's son right here. Donn is a showman, right? And he's good with celebrities. He's good with images. He's good with all that stuff. That does not necessarily make you good at business. Quite the opposite. A lot of artists, no offense to the artists out there, a lot of artists are terrible business people. And I think that's where Sonny comes in.
Yeah.
And making Don the Beachcomber a brand, making Don the Beachcomber. Like, you can make all these cool cocktails, and that's great. But if nobody ever sees them, it doesn't really matter.
Don would have been happy with the one cafe on McCadden, the smaller of the two cafes as well. He was happy just being the guy there. He didn't even make the drinks. He was just kind of ranting getting to talk with all the customers and going up to the ladies and giving them the lays and stuff like that. She was the one that was looking at the books and saying, you're spending too much money on these fresh flowers. We're not getting money back. So let's get rid of this part of the gift shop and turn it into Don the Beachcomber goods that we could sell,
It does beg the question, how much of the Don the Beachcomber that we know today is actually Don, and how much of it is Sonny?
Well, then, Sonny opened Chicago in 1940, and then Palm Springs in 1953, and then Vegas. By the time Vegas opened, she'd sold the corporation to Baron Hilton, who then somehow it morphed into the Getty family, into Getty Corp. And it was Getty Corp that had 16 of them open across the U.S.
Okay.
But even going back to 1942, I believe, Don was looking to get out of California. He and Sonny had split. He wasn't really all that stoked about Chicago being so far away and out of his control. And World War and D-Day happened. So the bombing of Pearl Harbor happened, and that kind of put his plans of moving to Hawaii on hold. So it wasn't until, I think, 1949 that he actually got over there and started opening his restaurants in Hawaii. And at that point, he could, because it wasn't part of the 50 states.
So his agreement, essentially, when he kind of split ways from the other Don the Beachcomber, was you can open it, you just can't open it in the United States. because Hawaii wasn't a state, that was the loophole.
Exactly.
That worked out well. Good for
Exactly.
him. I mean, I'd rather be in Hawaii than Chicago. No offense to Chicago, but it's
He
Hawaii.
was still making money off of Chicago. I mean, they have the books. So, he did that. He was looking to get over into Hong Kong and Tahiti and Fiji and all over the South Pacific. Perhaps he lost his steam. Perhaps he got burned on some business deals there too. But, what he did in Hawaii has as much impact on what we know of Don the Beachcomber today, because he made a venue for Martin Denny to play, and the music and the luau's and that whole thing. He kind of reintroduced this polypop culture into Hawaii, who at that time, and pardon the term, but had been whitewashed by the Matson lines, and they were serving scotch in all the hotels, So he kind of brought back a lot of the culture. And that's what his idea with the Polynesian Cultural Center was. I think there's a story in there that he had his original vision of the international marketplace got stolen by another guy who then built the Polynesian Cultural Center. So he intended the international marketplace to be more like the Polynesian Cultural Center, with all the different villages, pertaining to each island nation.
Complete tangent, but the Don the Beachcomber replica treehouse at the International Marketplace in Oahu now has Skull and Crown, which is another tiki bar in Oahu. I love Skull and Crown. They're doing pop-ups at Don the Beachcomber's treehouse, which is pretty cool.
Yes, I know. I've seen pictures of it from Waikiki, from Tiki on Waikiki. Adrian Polypop was sharing some of that stuff with us.
It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so Don the Beachcomber, obviously prolific in his time, but perhaps maybe the legend has grown more over time as well, particularly in the absence of Don the Beachcomber the past few years. There's tons of videos about Don Beach and all the stuff that he's done. A lot of it true, some of it maybe not. Who knows? But what are some of the challenges of when Don the Beachcomber has been absent, of coming back in and saying, like, this is Don the Beachcomber. Don the Beachcomber's coming back.
Yeah. Well, first, I mean, and I freely admit that I was one of those people when I read, oh God, these people in Florida bought the rights to Don the Beachcomber. Holy heck. But they are smart. The president of our company, Mark Brown, is smart. And he took a look at what this history meant and started digging and found Alex and the guys doing the movie. And he found Swanky, and he started talking to them and realized this is a history. This has got legacy. This is something. And that's what this company does. 23 Restaurant Services is the company that I work for. So I'm the director of beverage for all of 23 Restaurant Services locations.
Okay.
We have a couple of different brands under that umbrella, Don the Beachcomber being the first. But our tagline is that we're ambassadors to these legacy brands. So we treat them and give them the history and the legacy that they deserve, which is why we brought up together the advisory board we did. We have John Mulder and Sven Kirsten and Martin Kate, Tiki Diablo, Swanky, Adrian Polypop, Adrian Esquito. We all are there, and they don't make decisions, but we kind of put our decisions through their filter,
I mean, if there's any question about Don the Beachcomber as a brand, and if they're going the right direction, I think it's safe to say you look at that advisory board, and I don't think there's a single tiki person out there that would say that's not a good advisory board. Like that's the top, right, of people that you could talk to about the brand. So
absolutely,
that's super exciting.
Yeah, like I said, they don't make decisions, but they're our filter. So there was a big debate. We're in Florida. This is going to be a hotel restaurant. Do we put TVs in there? And we have to remember that this is a larger format than the smaller. This is not Tiki Tea size. This is not Tonga Hut size. This is not a one-off or a two-off bar restaurant. So we're going to have people that want to watch the World Series or the Super Bowl or whatever. So we've devised a whole panel that we're going to put in front of the TVs that we can open up, so you won't see a TV. Or if we do have the TVs out, we want to show the Don Tiki film or something like that. We can expose the TV and then we'll cover it when we don't want it to be seen, and no one is the wiser. I can't expect that everyone that comes in there is going to understand the flavor profile of a 1934 zombie. So I have to give them things that they're going to want to drink, but there will be a Dr. Funk. If you want a sour drink, here's a Dr. Funk. You want something a little bit sweeter, here's a Missionary's Downfall. I'll probably have a frosé in there too, because we're on the beach.
Yep. Here, okay, so it's side tangent.
Yes.
We're talking about cocktails, Mai Tai, okay? The hubbub of the Mai Tai, 1944, that's the only Mai Tai to drink. I am curious, much has been said about the Mai Tai and what the correct Mai Tai is and what the not correct Mai Tai is, and we don't need to get into that, but I am curious which sells better, right? Because the reason the Mai Tai kind of changed over time was because they were trying to accommodate to the tourists and get the money who wanted, pineapple juice or whatever it is. In your experience, which Mai Tai sells more? Is it the 1944 Mai Tai at this point, or is it the?
If you put it on the menu as the 1944 Mai Tai, that was at Tonga Hut, that was probably our third or fourth highest selling drink. The painkiller or the coconut sweet ones being the highest, but it was up there. So yes, if you're going to be a quote unquote tropical cocktail bar in the vein of Don the Beachcomber or Trader Vic, you better put a 1944 style Mai Tai on your menu. And then have a lot of other drinks that have pineapple in it. Don't call it a Mai Tai,
Yep. Oh, and don't call it a 1944 Mai Tai if it's not a 1944 Mai Tai.
Right.
Because then it's that's extra bad.
Right. Don't call it a 1944 Mai Tai with pineapple juice in it.
It's not that complicated a recipe.
No, it's not. And it's a recipe. It's like, I'm not going to go to a restaurant and order bread pudding and expect it to be made of rice. That's rice pudding,
Yep.
So it's the same sort of thing.
With the zombie cocktail,
Mm-hmm.
I assume you guys are going to have a zombie.
Yes.
Safe to say that you guys are going to have a zombie?
Yes.
Are you going to have are you going to be enforcing a 2-drink limit on zombie cocktails at Don The Beachcomber?
I don't think there's anything wrong with enforcing a 2-drink limit on a zombie. Do you really want to be the bathroom guy cleaning it up?
No.
Um,
I always obviously it's a strong cocktail, but I always wondered how much of it is a sales gimmick,
Right.
It's so strong, you have to try it, and that gets people to buy it.
At Don the Beachcomber, Huntington Beach, I enforced it. There was a couple of times where I absolutely allowed it. You want a third one? I don't care. You're buying it. You get sick though. You're not doing it here. You're doing it outside. And they weren't driving. I knew that they had a spouse or a partner or a friend that was driving them. So I wasn't worried about that. And the one guy came back the next time. He was like, I should have listened to you. I didn't need that third one. Sometimes rules are there for a reason. They could be your friend. If you want three,
guys, listen to Marie. If you're wondering whether you should have a third cocktail,
even if you want a third cocktail, then go for something that's going to be lower ABV. You don't have to have 3 zombies.
That's okay. Kevin Quigley right here in the chat. Hi, Marie. I got here late. That is a direct message to you, Kevin. You do not need 3 zombies. For the record, jet pilots are not much better than zombies. So there's that, Kevin.
Yeah, exactly.
There's this history of secret recipes in cocktails where basically bartenders would be, correct me if I'm wrong, but sharing secrets, right? So maybe a bartender left and then they would take the recipe and they would go to another bar and then they would share that recipe with that other bar. So next thing you know, Don Beach or whoever it was would be at someone else's bar. They'd order a cocktail and they'd get their own cocktail back served to them. Is it even possible to do secret recipes in today's world with Instagram? Is Don the Beachcomber going to do any kind of like secret recipe, or is it too hard in the world of social media to pull that off now?
Yeah, I mean, secret recipes aren't creative because there's nothing that doesn't have a foundation in something now. It's very difficult unless you're doing like the molecular gastronomy to come up with something that's never been done before. So it's not about sharing it's not about keeping those recipes were secret for a reason, because that bartender could open a competitor down the street and you would lose money. Now there's a ton of craft bars. They're going to come to you for more than just the cocktail. It's about the atmosphere. It's about the people serving you. It's about, if you want to buy something that they have for sale. There's so many different levels that keeping a recipe secret doesn't have as much mystique or even reason to it. I am going to be making some things that I probably won't share the recipe with you. You don't need to know my recipe for orgeat. There's a dozen on the you can make your own orgeat, or you could buy a Don the Beachcomber orgeat, which will be on the market in the next 5 years.
We're going to do some bottled mixes, perhaps.
Absolutely. So
I hope it's better than some of the other mixes that are out.
It should be, and if it's not, then there's no reason to put it out there.
Yep.
So
here's a question. So cocktail scene obviously has exploded in recent years, not just tiki cocktails, but craft cocktails in general. And particularly during the pandemic, the home bartending scene kind of exploded. And now everybody is capable of, making some cocktails, and maybe it's a case of a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, right? Do you think it has become more difficult to be a bartender today now that people are making their own drinks at home?
Do you still buy cakes from a bakery, or do you bake them all?
No, I definitely do not. I don't bake, but even if I could, I would certainly, yeah.
Right. So it's the same thing. And like I said, if it's just about having a drink with your partner or your friends or making something for people that come over, I'm all for it, but if you want to go, part of these drinks is not just going out to get loaded. It's the experience. It's about having the decor, about trying the food that's paired with the drinks. Mm-hmm. I think expectations for a quality cocktail are higher because people know the value of their money probably doesn't, they want value for their money, because they could say, I can make this at home. Why, if I can make fresh lemon juice at home, why can't you do it? So I definitely think that, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought reading these things going across
all the comments.
I think home mixology is making the bartenders more on their toes. I think that they have to be better than they ever were before, and they can't get away with cutting corners. And that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But it also, that's kind of a social media thing. Now it's, cocktail bars, particularly tiki bars, are highly Instagrammable,
Mm-hmm.
So there's pros and cons to everything, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
And people love the vibe of tiki,
Mm-hmm.
the aesthetic, the escape, without necessarily being able to afford a vacation.
Right.
You can just go to Don the Beachcomber.
Yep. And we're going to have different types. We'll have a 300-seat restaurant with a private second bar inside of it.
But I think we should pull up some concept art.
Oh yeah. So
I think that would be cool.
Some renderings that Danny Tiki Diablo, he's our designer, that he's done.
The legend again, Danny Gallardo. And keep in mind, folks, that these are preliminary designs. Things can change,
Mm-hmm.
so don't get your heart set on anything. But if Danny's doing designs, it's going to be cool, whatever it ends up looking like. But here are some concept sketches.
Yeah, so
he did gift shop.
This is going to be kind of the front entrance. Every time you walk into one of our places, we'll have that merchandise set up, and he's kind of gone. You could see it's kind of that Disney Jungle Cruise look to it, you know. And then the different colored lights; those are what those colors reflect. The lighting has to be. It's really important to make sure that we get the right kind of lighting in these places. We have the Chinese tiles are going to go everywhere. We have at least 30 or 40 that we're sitting on right now to go in our first 2 locations.
Are you guys like sourcing vintage ones, or are you making like brand new ones?
I would have to ask Danny. I think he's sourcing them. I know he's sourcing them, but I think he's getting them from. I think he's getting them new. You know what? I don't know. Don't quote me. I'm not part of that. I'm doing drinks.
We shall see. We shall see. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at another photo.
Yeah, the front.
Dude, that A-frame.
Yep.
If you're a tiki person, as soon as you see that A-frame, it's like, you got me.
Yeah. The architect that's 100% for sure. We're having an A-frame. I think the one in Hamlin, which is Orlando, it's about a 15-minute drive from Disney World. It's going to have a double A-frame. See it back there in the back there.
Why do one when you can do 2?
Right? It's going to sit on a lake, so it's going to have one overhanging the water and one out on the street as you drive by.
So I like this that one of the concerns when you hear Don the Beachcomber's coming back and there's going to be multiple restaurants is that it's going to be like a cookie cutter kind of thing, and that's not the case. You look at these renderings and you can tell that each location is going to have its own personality and be unique.
And a lot of them, most of them, we're building from the ground up. So we're not going. If we do go into an existing location, we know what kind of work is set up for us. So we prefer to build them from the ground up.
Yep. And you have complete control over everything.
Exactly.
Which is cool.
The double, like the multi-levels, we're going to make sure we have a lot of different levels and the lighting, and you can see the bar.
Looking at this one, okay, so like there's that open space to the left. Looks like you got some doors, and then you got, I'm assuming, seating on the right, but it almost looks too big for a booth. Is this like a waiting area?
Like I said, it's just a concept sketch. It's probably, we have a lot of indoor-outdoor spaces too, because it's Florida. You can see that those are going to be windows to an outdoor patio. So maybe this is a bar. I don't know. This doesn't exist in reality yet, but you could see the ideas that we're going for.
You can see the potential.
Exactly.
Yeah, all cool concepts. Then we have, these are architectural renderings, right?
Right. So like those tikis that are along the side, obviously those aren't the tikis that are going to go in there. Those are just fillers. But you could see that we're playing with color. We're playing with light. This doesn't show, we're going to have water features and, fire and stuff too.
Are you going to have like, is there talk of like breaking up the space on the inside? So you have maybe some more smaller, intimate spaces, and then, big, more open concept for parties and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Especially this Hamlin one, because it sits on a lake. We have green space here. So my dream is to have like a mini festival out here, with bands and, Eve is, I'm good friends with Eve Bergeron. They're having their 90th anniversary next year of Trader Vic's. So we want to do.
Congratulations to Trader Vic's.
Yes. We want to do some collabs with Don The Beachcomber and Trader Vic because,
Oh my God, the competitors coming together. It is a new realm of tiki.
We're not competitors. We're cohorts now. The women are running it. We're not going to.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's crazy how the community has kind of come together, and
absolutely.
I think here's the thing, and with mug makers too, because I'm in the mug scene. But it's a good thing anytime a mug sells out, and it doesn't matter if it's your mug, because it's a sign that the tiki community is alive and well, and that's good for everyone. So absolutely. I'm 100% behind a Don the Beachcomber Trader Vic collaboration. That'd be so cool.
Yep.
Of course, look at those colorful tiki panels.
Yeah, like I said, they'll be a little more traditional. This is kind of a placeholder, but you can see that with the lava, the faux lava on the walls. But we're thinking about every single aspect of it.
Are you guys trying to incorporate like maybe a little bit from the different islands? Are you doing primarily like all new tikis, or are you maybe looking at pulling from different places and bringing
If
it together as a
Danny, that it's all up to Danny. I mean, Danny's totally capable of carving in all sorts of styles, um, and making them look traditional. You know, they're not going to be the cartoony blasphemy. It's going to be very respectful and it's going to be very tasteful.
and we've got so people if they want updates, right? I think we've got some links, so we can pull up the links. This is where you should go, I believe.
Yes.
Don The Beachcomber 1932.com, and then on Facebook and Instagram, DTB 1932.
Yes.
So the first location in Madeira Beach. Madeira Beach. I've never been there. What is the area like?
So it's beach, Florida Beach, Florida Gulf Beach. I think I gave you guys a picture of the sunset that's happening. That's from the top of the hotel. So we're in the ground floor of a hotel.
Okay.
There's plenty of locals that live around there that I've met that are super excited because there's nothing craft on the beach. There's no fine dining. This is going to be fine casual Polynesian style dining. Yeah, so that's how close we are. And they're super excited. They're like, oh my God, we can't go to a place that has a good drink. So we'll cater to that, but we'll also have a lot of the people that come out here for vacations. It's going to be a mix. Our second one will be more tiki style. It's going to be closer to Tampa itself. And that's going to have probably 40 or 50 seating and no food. Or if it's food, it's going to be very minimal. It's not going to be about dining. That's going to be all about cocktails. Whereas this menu has about 20 drinks, that menu will have 30, 40, and all of those bartenders are going to have a little bit more training so that they know all the classics. So if I don't have a Jungle Bird on the menu, they're going to know how to make it.
I guess that's a question, right? Targeting you being a beverage director, like when you're looking for bartenders, what is the onboarding process going to look like for Don The Beachcomber?
Yeah, it's heavy training. There's going to be a lot of training because we have to train them not just about the culture, because I don't expect any of these bartenders to know A, about rum, or B, about the tiki culture, but we can indoctrinate you into the way. You know, I feel like I'm the Mandalorian, so I will.
This is the way.
And we'll teach you our style, of preparation and ice, and I'm going to set everybody up for success. But I don't need you to be someone who knows how to free pour a 1934 zombie, because we're going to teach you how to make it our way, because it's going to be the same way in Madeira, downtown Tampa, Hamlin, and anywhere else that we make it.
Does it matter, like, looking from a hiring perspective, whether you're hiring, someone with a lot of experience that may have some set ways, or a bartender that's green and doesn't know anything, so they can be kind of molded to the Don The Beachcomber strategy? Is there like a preference there?
I would rather have somebody that's green. I mean, I don't want to teach you how to make an old fashioned. I don't want to teach you how to make a margarita, but I don't expect you to even know the difference between a Hawaiian and a 1944 Mai Tai. That's part of the modules that we're creating now. In the training is tropical cocktails, the history of tropical cocktails, what this polypop culture is, how we're using and not bastardizing it in our locations, and how we're sticking to very traditional ways, because tiki has gone, in many different formats.
Yeah.
But we're going to stick with the, We're not going to make fun of you for having a geeky tiki's mug, but we're not going to do that style
Yeah.
ourselves, so we have to teach people the nuances. I don't expect you to know anything about rum. I can talk about rum and teach you every which way about it because that's what I love to do. So I'm creating, and we actually have a division in the office that does training. So we're working together. Justin can't have his Hawaiian Mai Tai. He can make that at home. We have a division in the office that I'm working very closely with, that we're going to create these modules and make it fun for people too. More questions.
I have so many questions.
So many
I know we're running late. Are you okay on time if we ask a couple more questions? That's okay?
Yep.
So rum, you mentioned rum. You talk about rum all the time. One of the things that I know Martin Kate, who's on the advisory board, has been combating over years, he's fighting the good fight, is that rum is kind of a misunderstood spirit.
Yes.
Do you think it's still misunderstood? Do you think we've made headway?
I think if you want to try to make headway, you can, but for the most part, in American culture, it is absolutely misunderstood. 100% misunderstood. The number one selling rum in the United States is Malibu, and it's not even a rum. It actually says on the label, rum flavored coconut liqueur. So there's a lot that we need to expose people to, that rum is not dosed overly syrupy sweet. If you like that, that's great. Let me show you what it can be in different forms. I'm not going to fault you for liking Zacapa, but let me show you something like Dos Madeiras, which is a little less sweet and more naturally. The flavoring comes from it in a more natural manner. And then maybe after that, you'll like a Barbados rum that's been finished in a sherry cask. That's going to be even less sweet and more rum forward. But, know what you're drinking. And I feel like the potential is there for rum brands that are sold in the United States to have a little more clarity in their labeling. I know the Real McCoy is kind of
100%.
The Real McCoy is fighting with the TTB right now about putting ingredients and the what's the word? Like nutritional facts on their label.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, just in the matter of a consumer going in and seeing that, if they see that on the label, they'll be able to know, oh, well, what's the difference? One is not like the other. I know it's in this because it's telling me. You're not telling me anything but this story. So, okay. Like I said, like what you like, but learn. We'll try to educate you a little bit more.
That's one of the hard things coming into it. I see plenty of people. You can go into the liquor store, any liquor store, okay, and you will inevitably see, if you go to the rum aisle, someone with the Smuggler's Cove book, on their cart, and they're going through that little list that Martin Kate wrote of 1 through 8 rums, whatever it is, because the labeling is not really conducive to figuring out what rums are,
right.
And we use labels like dark rum, light rum, and
right.
You know as well as I that you can have 5 dark rums or 5 light rums that taste completely different.
Right.
So that's interesting.
Yes, we are going to have a selection. I'm working on flights right now. The flights at Madeira Beach will probably be smaller than what we're going to have in our Tiki style bars. We're kind of calling them the dagger bar because they're going to be the more intimate, smaller bars. And yes, we will do a private label down the line once we get the restaurants up and running and I can focus on that.
Is there going to be, like a separate menu of you can try these rums maybe?
Oh, absolutely.
You can have your cocktails, or you can have just the straight rum.
Absolutely. I'll have a rum list for sure. And every location will have a rum list. And I've put together a couple of flights either similar things or you can build your own flights. We'll be selling things at half an ounce and a full ounce to 2 ounces. I'll have different levels of it, So if there's I'm not saying I'm going to have Appleton 17, but if I did have something of the price level of Appleton 17, you could buy it for half an ounce, so you're not buying an $80 shot of it or whatever, just if you want to try it, hypothetically.
Do you think something that's common in it's kind of I don't know where I stand on this. In craft cocktails, seasonal cocktail menus are becoming more popular, where you're using ingredients similar to like a fancy kitchen. You're using the ingredients that are in season or whatever, or the flavor profile that people expect from Halloween, Christmas, whatever it is. That's kind of contradictory to tiki cocktails in that people want the Mai Tai, the zombie, everything that's just so core to what tiki culture is. Do you see seasonal cocktails kind of fitting into Don the Beachcomber, or do you think it's better to just focus and buckle down on those core cocktails?
We're going to have a set menu. We're going to have a solid set menu that will only change in minor ways for all the different locations. Simply because, like I said, for the Madeira location, I would have put a 151 swizzle on there, but I don't think that sellable at the beach versus a frosé. But when we have a Tiki, we'll have a 151 swizzle and a mission pearl diver and stuff like that. The seasonal stuff we will, because that is even if it's not quote unquote seasonal, having an LTO or limited time offering available is really important, because that's another way to test out new things that we'll put on the solid menu, even if it's not seasonal. So right now I'm running a couple LTOs at our other locations. One's selling great. We're doing a new menu there. We're doing a menu upgrade. I'm probably going to move it on to the regular menu. The other one, not selling so great. I'm not going to, that'll be gone.
When you personally are designing cocktails, with Don the Beachcomber in mind, or I guess just at home too, do you start with the spirits and then kind of work in liqueurs and other flavors, or do the spirits come last?
I usually start with the spirit. If I'm tasked by a brand, that's one thing. But if I'm just tasting a rum and I get, sort of coffee qualities from the rum, then I'm going to start thinking Black Magic and then build that way, hypothetically. Other times I'll be, having a dinner or having a dessert or having a cocktail somewhere else with matcha in it. And then I want to go, I'm so infatuated with the matcha or the ube or the pandan or something, then I want to build that way. So it just depends on what inspires me,
There you go.
Yeah, I had to do drinks with Baku, and even though Baku isn't one of the best rums out there as far as I'm concerned, quality-wise, but for each one of the 3 distillates that they had on the market, I tasted something different and I formulated the cocktail with that in mind. I didn't build more rums into it, but one just reminded me of so sherry forward that I used vermouth and came out with a brilliant cocktail there, and the other one was coffee forward. So I went that direction. So it just whatever strikes me, or if I get up my butt that I want to do a savory cocktail, then all bets are off.
All bets are off.
I don't know what I'm going to come up with.
We'll see what happens. Put your like movers and shakers. Put your vermouth in the fridge.
Absolutely.
I always say on their Instagram. Put the best stuff on Instagram.
100%.
So with that said, this is all very exciting. I'm excited for the cocktails. I'm excited for the advisory board on Don the Beachcomber. We've showed renderings. We've looked at all the cool stuff coming to Don the Beachcomber. I think we should give away a mug.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't even have one.
Marie doesn't even have one, but you could have one. This is the Don the Beachcomber, a tiki mug. The legend returns. Do DTB. We're going to give this away, and then we'll put up, coming locations on the Beachcomber, upcoming timelines. Take a look at that. But before we announce the winner, let's take a closer look at this mug. Here it is. We're going to announce the winner, who's going to be the lucky person. And the winner of tonight's Don the Beachcomber mug giveaway is, this one came from Instagram at Atomichick. Congratulations.
Oh, yay.
The Don the Beachcomber mug made by John Mulder and the team at Ekambukum, limited edition. Let's take a look at the roadmap for Don the Beachcomber coming up and the upcoming locations. Now, I don't know, these probably aren't firm, right? These are estimated.
Right.
Don the Beachcomber. The first one's going to be in Madeira Beach, Florida. And I think you said November.
Yeah, we're trying to get it open before Thanksgiving, but the holidays might put a snag into things.
Yep.
If I were to book a ticket to fly out here, I wouldn't do it until December 1st. Just to be on the safe side.
And then the other ones are probably even looser.
Yes.
But we're coming to Florida, and we're coming to, is that Orlando?
Yep, Orlando. It's actually, the little town is called Hamlin, but it's 15 minutes from Disney World.
There you go. No excuse, people. No excuse when that one opens. I think Madeira Beach is about two hours from Disney World, maybe 4 hours from the Maikai.
Yeah.
Geographic location, Mike.
Yep. And then Vieira is right by Cape Canaveral. So it's on the East Coast.
And Vieira, that's the one that's going to have the 40 cocktails?
No, that's the downtown Tampa one that's not even on here.
Oh, so many exciting places.
So the downtown Tampa one will be open by February or March of next year.
Okay.
That's really exciting. That one just kind of fell into our lap, this location did, and we're like 100% in already.
Oh boy, Typhoon Tommy, buy me Vera. That's going to be his local bar.
Yep.
You don't have to necessarily wait, though, to take some of Don the Beachcomber merchandise home with you. Some of the stuff is already available for sale, including we got Mai Tai and zombie glasses. Available at shop dtv.com. We've got T-shirts that you can purchase. The original zombie recipe, that's pretty cool. I'm a personal fan of matchbooks. That's my thing, because they're affordable and they're so iconic.
These matchbooks are so cool too. Each one has the feature matches in it. There's a fourth one there that's not even shown, but really cute. Yeah, Justin Peterson is our creative director, and he did all of these designs for us. He really knocked it out of the park. This whole legend returns. The silhouette of Donn is just outstanding. We may or may not have a mug that looks like that soon. Just saying.
Like the profile logo. That would be pretty sick. Is that going to be maybe before they open or along with the opening? We don't know.
It's up to China's hands right now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's ceramics. Never plan a deadline on ceramics.
Nope.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have the Don the Beachcomber mug that is available now.
Yes.
If you are not the winner of this mug, you can still purchase it right now at shopdtv.com. Don the Beachcomber. I get one of these amazing mugs crafted by John Mulder and Ekambukum in Florida. That's the link.
That's it.
And guys, with that said, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. We are sponsored by Plantation Rum. Plantation Rum, thank you so much for sponsoring all of 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. We have 13 cocktails that were designed by Mixing Up Tiki. They're all Halloween themed. If you haven't figured out what the theme is, more specifically than Halloween, you'll probably figure it out tomorrow when we announce the next cocktail. Also, thank you to Tiki Farm. Tiki Farm is the world's largest manufacturer of high-end tiki mugs. Thank you to Holden Westland, who was a previous guest. You can actually go back and watch that interview with Holden Westland. We talk about some really cool history from Tiki Farm. They're absolutely killing it. They just released a couple more mugs. And then, of course, Don The Beachcomber. Don The Beachcomber is one of our sponsors, and we're super excited for the opening of all the locations of Don The Beachcomber and all the stuff that we talked about tonight. So, Marie, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for taking the time out of the busy schedule. I know Don The Beachcomber is opening soon, so you got your hands full. So,
right back
no
at
more
it.
questions to Marie King. Let Marie work. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll see you on Tuesday with Art of Scooter. He's our next guest, Scott Burrows. Scott Burrows designed both the 13 Nights of Tiki Frights logo and the Search for Tiki mascot. Incredible guy. Super excited to talk to him. So tune in on Tuesday. And with that, have a good night.
Night, y'all.